In the small riverside village of Igbamoko, the Red Angels were a legend. No one knew when they first appeared, but for as long as anyone could remember, they had been part of the village's spiritual life. Clad in bright red from head to toe, red scarves, red gowns, even red slippers, they moved in groups, speaking in deep voices, quoting proverbs, and giving out blessings. The villagers believed they had powers. They were said to call down rain when the farms were dry, drive away witches that caused sickness, and pray for students before big exams. People whispered that they were holy women sent from God. Children were told to bow when they saw them passing. On Sundays, after church, they would walk from house to house. Families would offer gifts, yams, rice, dried fish, palm oil, or sometimes cash. For the work of the Lord, the Red Angels would say, blessing each home before leaving. No one questioned where these gifts went. Among the villagers, only Mama Grace seemed less impressed. She often muttered under her breath when they visited. "Angels don't sweat like market women," she once said, fanning herself as the group left her compound. But most people ignored her. One Sunday afternoon, something unusual happened. A young boy named Boma, known for always running errands, was passing by Mama Grace's compound when he spotted one of the Red Angels. The woman was not walking proudly in the street. He was up in Mama Grace's mango tree, shaking branches and dropping ripe fruit into a basket below. Boma stopped in his tracks. This was not what he expected from a holy woman. The Red Angels were supposed to be fasting, praying, or performing miracles, not climbing trees for fruit. Under the mango tree sat a large calabash. Boma thought it might hold holy water, incense, or some other spiritual item. But when the woman climbed down and lifted the lid, a strong smell hit the air. It was jollof rice. Before Boma could move, two more Red Angels walked in from the back of the house. One carried a cooler that smelled of fried meat. The other had a tray of roasted plantain. Mama Grace followed behind them with a pot of palm wine. They all gathered under the tree, laughing and talking loudly. Boma watched in disbelief. The women were eating with both hands, scooping rice and meat as if they hadn't eaten in weeks. Then one of them pulled out something that made Boma blink twice, a pack of playing cards. Within minutes, the so-called holy women were gambling. 2 pieces of suya for anyone who wins this round, one shouted. Coins and meat changed hands. There was no prayer, no blessing, no talk of God, only laughter and the sound of cards hitting the ground. That was the moment the truth began to unravel. By the time Boma ran home that day, his head was full of questions. He had always believed the Red Angels were special, but what he saw under Mama Grace's mango tree felt different. He decided not to speak yet. In a small village, news could travel faster than a sneeze. But Mama Grace had no such patience. By late afternoon, she was sitting at her usual spot in front of her compound, selling palm wine to passers-by. A few men from the market stopped to drink, and as they poured their cups, she leaned forward and said in a low but deliberate voice, "Do you people know what your holy women were doing in my compound today?" They shook their heads. One man, Uncle Jide, said, "Don't tell me they saw a witch again." Mama Grace laughed sharply. "A witch? If the witch is fried and served with suya, then yes." The men leaned closer as she told them everything, the mango plucking, the jollof rice, the fried meat, the gambling with playing cards. She even imitated the way one of them shouted, "2 suya for the winner." The men nearly choked on their drinks from laughter. Still, one of them tried to defend the Red Angels. "Maybe they were just relaxing after prayer," he said. Mama Grace shook her head. "Relaxing? My brother, they have been relaxing for years with all your donations. They go house to house, collecting food and money, but it's not prayers they are using it for. It's feasts." Word spread. By evening, it had reached the ears of Aya Moniki, the woman who sold cooked rice at the main junction. She She told her customers that the red angels were not as holy as they appeared. A fisherman heard it while buying rice and repeated it to his wife. By nightfall, even children were chanting in the streets, "Red angels, red meat." But in a village like Igbamoko, gossip was never straightforward. Some people believed it instantly, others said it was just jealousy. Mama Grace has always had a sharp tongue, they argued. She probably didn't give them a big enough donation, so now she's bitter. The next morning, the red angels walked through the market as usual, blessing stalls and collecting small gifts. The traders greeted them politely but with guarded eyes. Someone even whispered, "Check their bags, maybe there's pepper soup inside." What the red angels didn't know was that a small group of villagers had decided to watch them more closely. If the gossip was true, they wanted proof. And proof was exactly what they got the following Sunday. The villagers who had heard the rumors were determined not to miss anything this time. That Sunday, after church, a few of them quietly followed the red angels at a safe distance. The women in red went from house to house as usual, their voices deep and serious. "May your barns be full," they said to one family. "May your children prosper," they told another. At each stop, they accepted gifts, bags of rice, bottles of groundnut oil, live chickens, and sometimes a few crumpled naira notes. The followers noticed something strange. The red angels never blessed anyone for long. They didn't pray inside the houses. Instead, they moved quickly, almost rushing to the next stop. After about 10 houses, they turned off the main road into the narrow path behind the old cocoa shed. The villagers following them crept closer. At the end of the path was a small clearing shaded by a giant breadfruit tree. There, under the tree, was something unexpected, a large wooden table already set with plates, spoons, then several bottles of palm wine. The red angels sat down like queens returning from war. One untied a sack and poured out fried chicken. Another opened a cooler and revealed steaming white rice and stew. The last man brought out 2 loaves of bread and a bottle of gin. There was no sign of prayer. No singing. No mention of God. Just loud chewing, burping, and the occasional shout of, "Pass me that meat." The villagers hiding in the bushes tried to stifle their laughter. One of them whispered, "So this is the work of the Lord." But the most shocking moment came after the meal. One red angel reached into his bag and pulled out a portable speaker. Suddenly, music started playing, fast, loud, and nothing like church songs. They began to dance, shaking their shoulders and stamping their feet, completely forgetting the holy image they had in the village. That was the proof the watchers needed. They quietly slipped away, careful not to be seen. By the time the red angels returned to the main road, the story had already started to spread again, this time with witnesses. The next Sunday would not be so quiet. Watch out for part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe.